turnkey real estate investment solution. Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And it is Friday, August 4th, and we're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. And it's hard to believe that we're almost done the dog days of summer. But if you live here and you live in the metropolitan Phoenix area, yesterday afternoon around 4:30 was spectacular as it relates to storms. And if you're listening and you had some damage, I'm really sorry. But Mother Nature is something that is somewhat unpredictable, and people, don't realize it. But we do get tornadoes here, and I understand we had a tornado hit just in Phoenix, just south of Phoenix. If you're tuning in for the very first time, Health Futures is a show about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And how do we do this? We do this by bringing extraordinary guests here to the show. And today's no different. I have an extraordinary guest, and I'd like to just get started because this is a really, really important topic that we're going to cover here today. So I'd like to introduce our listening audience to Dr. Ben Bobrow. He's the Chief Medical Officer of a company called thepainproject.com. Welcome to the show.
Good. Thank you, Bob. Glad to be here.
And as many people know, if they listen to the show, I usually talk about a lot of other things about the show, but I want to get right into this because the work that you are doing is so relevant right now. It's in the news every single day. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us about the Pain Project and what is this all about?
Sure. It's really kind of come to be center stage in so many people's lives. Unfortunately, really tragically, we have so many people that are taking opioid pain medications chronically for long periods of times, and unfortunately even misusing them, and even we have an epidemic of overdose related to opioid pain medications. I'll just give you the latest statistics are that 38% of Americans took an opioid pain medicine last year.
38%.
38%, almost 4 out of 10 people.
38%.
Yes.
So
92 million
I was
people.
just going to say almost 100 million people took an opioid.
5% of the population, by self-reporting, misuses the medications. They take their spouses or friends and they share them, and they misuse them. They don't take them as prescribed. And even 2 million people by self-report have an opioid disorder. And that's sort of defined by they can't work, they have problems working, or they're unemployed because of the opioids, or they even have problems with the law, all those kinds of things. 2 million people. And the tragedy that I see is, unlike all these other major public health problems we have, this one, we, the medical community, inadvertently, unintentionally, actually created. And if you remember our previous Surgeon General, who is now gone, I thought he was terrific, but
Everett Koop?
No, not that long
I
ago.
thought he was pretty cool.
Dr. Murthy,
was
the last one, the previous one, and he called the opioid problem the largest public health problem of our generation. Not just the public health problem of the day or the year or the moment, of our generation. And I don't think he was exaggerating. I don't think he was wrong. And so it's astounding. And so you asked me how the Pain Project came about. I became really intrigued with this massive problem as an emergency physician, for which I've done for 25 years. And I saw it so much, and I saw it building, and I took care of so many people that had these issues. But at the root, if you look at the root cause of people that are using opioids, the vast majority of people started taking them for chronic pain. They were prescribed an opioid pill, and you kind of told me a story.
I don't mind sharing.
Yeah, that someone prescribed it to you for an acute injury or post-surgery.
Post-surgery.
And we've done this to people. And so the vast majority of people started because of chronic pain, not an acute pain, not like an injury or a surgery, but of chronic pain. Think about headaches and back pain and neck pain that people have for years and years. And what we know now is that opioids don't help with chronic pain. And in fact, we can talk about later, they actually can increase chronic pain. And so that's how I got so interested in this topic, and through studying with a number of experts and different people, I became sort of sort of possessed with this idea of the roots of chronic pain and where chronic pain comes from. And what I've seen is that many people can improve and get way better without taking opioid pills. And that's really what I'm here to talk about.
You know, it's interesting. You mentioned my personal experience. You know, I'm coming up on double nickels next month, 55, and, you know, the parts have worn out. I used to be an athlete, and I still like to think I am. I'm a weekend warrior now. I like to play golf, so that's about the extent of my athletic ability. But the first surgical procedure I had, I got prescribed opioids, and I was told to take a certain amount when I got home. And I got to tell you, I mean, can I call you Ken? No, that's your dad's name.
You can call me Ken, but that's my dad.
That's your dad, and that's something that's really interesting. And we can talk about that later. How we come full circle, and you know, Ben, Ken sounds the same, and
close enough.
And you guys look a little bit alike too. So I'm sure you've heard that as well. But I got to tell you, I was told to take the medication, and when I took it, I just didn't like the way it made me feel. I mean, I just felt this warm sensation all over. And I just didn't feel like I was in control, and I stopped taking it. But every time I went for other procedures, because the parts have worn out, I always get prescriptions for more opioids. And, it kind of goes hand in glove with what you said. Physicians have helped create this.
Yes. And there was a big paper out yesterday, which in one of the biggest journals in the world, Journal of American Medical Association, which they actually measured how many people have old prescriptions hanging around the house. So you had this, you had another thing, you had another thing over the years, and we don't actually dispose of the medications. And by the way, you're not supposed to actually flush them down the toilet. You're supposed to bring them in to a pharmacy and get them disposed of properly, but we don't do that. So we have all these pills laying around, and another related risk and tragedy of all this is people get into them that shouldn't. Kids, teenagers, whatever, babies. And we have a lot of unintentional people that are getting into this and overdosing. So the other tragedy of all this, there's 38,000 opioid-related overdose deaths every year.
38,000.
38,000. So more than car crashes.
And you know what's interesting? I don't want to make this appeal to our listening audience, because you just hit on a nerve that I think that every family probably deals with. Is in these medicine cabinets are medications that are expired, that are old. They may be hanging on to them. You know, one of the biggest challenges we have with older adults is suicides. And you know what? And I don't know what the percentage is, but many of them hold on to these medications, and when they want to take their lives, they just take an abundance amount of those medications.
They do. So, and I have to tell you, I know we're talking about a lot of different topics. So opioids, we're going to talk about chronic pain and suicide, and there is a common thread through all of those things. I'm interested in all of those topics. No,
I am too, and you know, we got just about 30 seconds to really finish up this segment, but you know, it's nice that the awareness is out there. Our governor, back in June, you know, he put an executive order out about opioid, and he had an emergency declaration to say that, you know, this is a problem for our state. I think the statistic is about 790 people died last year.
About 2 people a day.
2 people a day died.
2 people today will die.
In the state of Arizona.
Yeah.
That's just so unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know what? We got a lot more to talk about with this, and I know I only have at least one more segment with you. Maybe you'll stick around beyond that. We'll see. But it is an epidemic, and it's one that we really, really need to address.
Yeah. And I want to talk about the root causes, what I see as some of the root causes.
So when we come back, let's talk about the root causes. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You, and I got Ben Bobrow, Dr. Ben Bobrow, not Ken, that's his dad. He's the Chief Medical Officer for a company called thepainproject.com. I've been on the website. Definitely, if you're listening in and you're at your desktop, pull it up. It's pretty robust. It's got a lot of information in it. If not, write it down and look up at it later. We're down our first segment. We'll be right back. You're listening to Health Futures. Thank you.
I'm always hoping that you'll end this way, but it's my destiny to be the king of pain. There's a little black spot on the sun today.
Hi, I'm Gary Kolf. I'm host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, insurance, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we will carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call, 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559.
Get to Lumber Liquidator's Summer Splash Flooring Sale for the best deals on the best selection of wood-look waterproof floors and more. Choose from more than 40 varieties of vinyl plank up to 45% off. Get 20% off Avella wood-look tile packages. And all water-resistant Dream Home X2O laminate is on sale. Plus, get pre-finished hardwood on sale from $149. Like Bellawood Select Maple, it's 30% off. More from 49 cents and special financing. Hurry, get to the Summer Splash Flooring Sale today.
It's an extremely valuable resource. It's found in offices, buildings, and schools. It's a resource that speaks volume, yet it never makes a sound. Everyone recognizes it. Everyone uses it. Interestingly enough, it's rarely discussed. Croy Sign Systems, designers and manufacturers of architectural and ADA signs since 1981. Let Croy be your resource for identification, direction, and information. Give Croy Signs a call at 480-619-6070 or online at kroysigns.com.
Home isn't just a place, it's a feeling. The feeling that you're safe to enjoy the things that matter most. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Learn more at ADT.com. ADT, home safe home.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in, we're on our second segment. I got Dr. Ben Bobrow in the house, and he is the Chief Medical Officer for a company called thepainproject.com. And if you missed our first segment, you can catch it right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button, drop down to the radio show, and you'll catch this show and probably about 160 or 170 others that we've been bringing to you for the last 4.5 years. So I want to jump right back into this. You know, Ben, this is an epidemic. It is making the news. Our president's talking about it. Our governor's talking about it. You know, it started by, as you said, physicians creating this epidemic, and this, you mentioned the Surgeon General talking about that, the previous one. It all stems from chronic pain, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so, you know, we led with this topic of opioid abuse and misuse and overdose, huge tragedy. But there's another related public health problem that's really at the source of this. And so, you know, we have all these Center for Disease Control and even the Department of Health and all these prescribing rules now. And people are really ratcheting down on what they're prescribing, which is good. We should never have been prescribing as much or some of the strong opioid medications that we were for the things we were prescribing. By the way, I want to make the distinction. When we're talking about pain, I'm talking about chronic pain, not an acute injury, and I'm not talking about people that have, unfortunately, malignant cancer pain. That's a different thing. For those people, it's really no matter what, to keep people comfortable. But when people have chronic pain, and that's sort of defined as pain lasting more than a typical injury would heal. So think about you have a shoulder injury. Yeah, it might take a few weeks to a month to heal. But if your pain is still continuing years later, that's a different thing. It's actually not so much a problem, for example, in your shoulder. It's a problem in what's happened is you've remembered this pain, and you actually can create thoughts and neurocognitive things. You actually remember the pain. And so we know this undeniably now that this happens. And we've shown it with things like functional MRI studies of the brain show that we create these cognitive loops, these neural loops. It's a totally fascinating topic. But so we're prescribing less and less, which is good, but we're still not helping people with what are people supposed to do now? And I think millions of patients are really frustrated and asking questions. Okay, my doctor's not giving me these pain pills anymore that really weren't helping that much to start with, but what else am I supposed to do? And that's really what the pain project's about.
And some of the chronic pains, I would imagine, is like arthritis. Gout,
yes.
People that are dealing with,
yes.
Bad backs, bad necks.
Yes.
I mean, they're dealing with this pain and they need to get some kind of relief.
Yes.
And certainly the Tylenol, the 2 Tylenols or the 2 Advils or the 4 Advils they're taking aren't really taking the edge off.
Yes. So it's fascinating. When you look at the other public health problem of chronic pain, millions and millions of people, it's estimated that 1 out of 3 of us have some kind of daily pain that impacts our lives negatively. Headaches, neck pain, back pain, chronic abdominal pain, joint pain. Those are some of the more common ones. And then sort of these other things where the entire body hurts, things like fibromyalgia. 1 out of 3 Americans has one of those things. And we've been
1 of 3.
1 out of 3 people, 100 million people.
Wow.
And we've been, our medical approach has been to use pills and surgeries and things like epidural nerve blocks. And what we've seen is that while we're doing more and more and more of that stuff, on the order of, you see how many more pills we've prescribed, how many more surgeries. It's like we're doing 300% more surgeries than we used to for back and neck pain. We still have more people disabled with chronic pain than ever. It's not getting better. It's actually getting worse. So it actually begs the question, what's going on? If we're doing so much of this stuff, why aren't people getting better? And the reason many of us believe is that we're not approaching some of the root causes. And some of these things are, as I said, after a while with chronic pain, it's just as much about your thinking and your approach and your views on pain. And I'll even say, you said that your body's worn out. Yeah. You look good, man.
Well, thank you.
You look really good.
Thank you.
And maybe you were a football player and a lacrosse player, you told me in college, and you banged around and you got knocked around. But a lot of this, honestly, is about how we view ourselves. If we view ourselves as kind of worn out.
It's such a great point. And this conversation that, dealing with older adults, it's a conversation that I have, not frequently, but I do have. And that is, oftentimes, and I think we as a society, a community, feel this way. We long for the days of our youth, and we're not accepting where we are.
It's not reality.
It isn't. I mean, today I'm 54, almost 55 years old, and I've got to accept where I am today.
Yes.
And, you and I talked about your dad and my dad. Your dad's 79, my dad's 81. And, my dad has said to me, everything hurts. And what doesn't hurt doesn't work. And saying it kiddingly, but I'm like, at least you're here. How many of your friends didn't make it to 81?
Exactly. So part of this is having a realistic, expectation of how we should be doing.
Exactly.
And the other thing is, we did a disservice. The medical community did a disservice to people the last couple of decades. We sort of set this unattainable bar where you shouldn't have pain. In fact, we told people you shouldn't have pain. In fact, we showed people advertisements and billboards saying, if you have pain, if you have trouble with your sex life, if you're losing your hair, if anything's wrong, we have a pill. We can fix it.
We can fix it.
Exactly.
We can fix it.
And unfortunately, with pain, it's not true. Everybody has some pain. It's part of life. And I think that the generations before, they accepted that. They didn't sort of have this unrealistic expectation. And the other thing that's led people to is when people have pain, the first thing many people do is they want to do less. They want to stop doing whatever activity, whether for you is, playing lacrosse or whatever, but you're still out there playing golf, which is great.
Right.
My advice, don't stop.
Exactly.
Keep going. Motion is like lotion for the joints. And once you start doing less and less, which unfortunately a lot of people do, you get into kind of a cycle and you become fearful and you actually pay more attention to your pain. And these are real things, real cognitive learning loops. And you actually learn, this is one of the main messages for the audience, is you actually learn pain after a period of time. You remember it, and it becomes a thing in your brain. But your brains, or all of our brains, are designed to be very, very plastic, very shapeable and moldable. And what we know beyond a shadow of a doubt is that you can actually unlearn a lot of the pain. And we've seen so many people get better. And these are the ideas and the concepts that are actually in the guidelines for chronic pain, but they haven't really caught on because we did such a great job of getting people focused on pain pills and surgeries, and we sort of took away people's ability and to take care of themselves, and what we call self-management and self-efficacy, and that's just a fancy word for understanding and believing that you can take care of yourself, that you're going to do okay.
It's funny you mentioned about our previous generation, and we all remember things that our parents and our grandparents told us. And I'll never forget visiting my grandmother. She was my granny. I used to go over to visit her, and I remember, 84, 85, 86 years old, I'd go over to her apartment to visit her. And the first thing I would do after she would nearly smother me with this big hug, bear hug. And we've talked about here on our show how older adults, craved touch and they don't get touch. I would say to her, I say, "How are you doing, Granny?" And she goes, "Oh, you don't want to hear about my aches and pains. I want to talk about you."
Exactly.
And I think that generation was more, inclined to do that. They didn't want to tell you about their aches and pains, and they were more engaged with the youth and wanting to know what I was doing.
That's a great example. And so we've gotten people really focused on their own pain.
Right.
Because we sold them this bill of goods telling them that they should have no pain. And so that's part of what's happened. It's been a complicated sort of a series of things that have happened that have led us to this point. But that's really what the Pain Project is about. This website is about empowering people and giving them the tools to actually help themselves. And if they want, because people have loved the content on the website, but a lot of people said to me, "Okay, Dr. Bobrow, how can we do this? I want some help. I want some help." And that's really what led us to this idea of working with experts where we actually deliver therapy on the internet to people in the convenience of their home.
Well, I want to talk more about it. Will you stick around?
Absolutely.
We're at halftime here at Health Futures, taking stock in you. I've got Dr. Ben Bobrow here. He's the Chief Medical Officer for the PainProject.com. Come on back. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
The Justice Department is cracking down on leaks about the Trump administration. Attorney General Jeff Sessions says the unauthorized disclosures are a threat to national security.
I strongly agree with the President and condemn in the strongest terms the staggering number of leaks undermining the ability of our government to protect this country.
Former pharmaceutical executive Martin Shkreli has been convicted of 3 charges after being accused of defrauding investors and acquitted of 5 other counts. Shkreli says he was the victim of overzealous prosecution.
This was a witch hunt of epic proportions, and maybe they found 1 or 2 broomsticks, but at the end of the day, we've been acquitted of the most important charges in this case, and I'm delighted to report that.
Shkreli's lawyer says he plans to appeal. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average continues to gain ground, up by 39 points. The S&P 500 up 2.5. The Nasdaq up by 6. I'm Ann Cates.
At the United States Postal Service, we don't just carry your product to its destination. We deliver your business, representing you and all of your hard work with pride. It's almost as if you're the one showing up to the customer's door, greeting them with a smile. Because when you ship with the United States Postal Service, your business becomes our business. That's why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone else in the country. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
This is Charles Osgood. Small business never stops moving, so Dell's U.S.-based small business technology advisors are trained to keep up. Just call 877-BUY-DELL to get connected with an advisor who will get to know your business and tailor a solution with Dell PCs powered by Intel Core processors that is right for you, so you can focus on your business and leave the tech questions to Dell. Call 877-BUY-DELL to get in touch with a tech advisor today.
When you were at work yesterday, was your money also working hard for you? If not, let's change things today. Keep listening to Money Radio.
Hi, I'm Gary Kolf. I'm host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, insurance, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we will carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call, 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559.
Get total freedom in your life safely and quickly. Build wealth and passive income so you never worry about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty. Hi, I'm Steve Davis, an investor in thousands of units over the years. Now it's your turn. Del Walmsley has been my mentor for nearly 25 years, and he's taught over 100,000 people just like you the principles of financial freedom through live one-on-one mentoring at Lifestyles Unlimited and his national radio show. I'm excited to tell you about the real estate workshop that changed my life. The workshop gets you on the inside of what we do and what we believe and unlocks the 5 ways we make money in real estate. Just like your personal trainer, Lifestyles Unlimited will motivate, encourage, and teach you so you can get in the best financial shape of your life. Call 866-971-8970 or go to luiphoenix.com. That's luiphoenix.com to register for the workshop that will change your life and let you stop worrying about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty.
To relieve muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This fast-acting foam can even prevent muscle cramps. Get TheraWorks Relief today at TheraWorksRelief.com.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. Google is developing technology to let publishers create visual-oriented media content along the lines of Snapchat's Discover, upping the ante in a race among tech giants to dominate news dissemination on smartphones. Google has been in discussions with several publishers, including Vox Media, CNN, and The Washington Post, to take part in the project dubbed Stamp. Participating publishers would run stories that could be several swipeable slides encompassing text, photos, and video, just as on Snapchat. Shares of Blue Apron Holdings dropped to a new low today, and they're now trading at $5.86 after the meal kit company said it would close a New Jersey fulfillment center, eliminating or relocating about a quarter of its workforce. The broader market is holding on to gains, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 40 points. The Nasdaq Composite is ahead 5, and the S&P 500 is up 2 points. That's Your Money Now.
For nearly 100 years, folks have trusted Blue Star medicated ointment to relieve the pain and itching of almost any skin irritation.
It works on my son's dry, itching feet and their jock itch.
I had this rash on my neck. Nothing worked until Blue Star.
Blue Star worked great on my ringworm without steroids.
My wife and I have been using Blue Star for years. It's never let us down.
Look for the white box with the blue star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
Get to Lumber Liquidators' Summer Splash Flooring Sale for the best deals on the best selection of wood look waterproof floors and more. Choose from more than 40 varieties of vinyl plank up to 45% off. Get 20% off Avella wood look tile packages. And all water-resistant Dream Home X2O laminate is on sale. Plus, get pre-finished hardwood on sale from $149. Like Bellawood Select Maple, it's 30% off. More from 49 cents and special financing. Hurry, get...
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And I'm your host, Bob Roth. And if you are just tuning in, we're on our third segment. And I've got Dr. Ben Bobrow. He's the Chief Medical Officer of the PainProject.com in the studio. And I just had join us James Shipp. James is a really good friend of mine who really encouraged me to join and produce and put the show together. Felt I had enough content. So thank you for...
You're a natural. I mean, it's one of those things where I had done enough times, put together enough shows, and you were just... made for this, and the subject matter is needed.
And if there's anybody, you told me I had a voice for radio. If there's anyone that can compete with me, you got a great voice. So
thank you.
So an incredible voice, and I've asked James to join us here today because James is actually a recovering, not an addict, but a recovering from surgery.
Yes.
He loved having rotator cuff surgery so much he went and had it done twice.
Wow. It didn't take the first time. But
it didn't take. So I know that's a very complex surgery, and I know that when the surgeons go in there, they've really got to dig in to get to those pieces and parts to repair. And James, he went through that and also went through bicep surgery. So, you understand pain, and you were prescribed opioids, right?
Well, yes, and when I got to the pharmacy, they explained to me what the difference between a C1 level and those types of things, and having a lot of at the age of 57, and when I went to ASU, a lot of my friends that played pro football or left Arizona State back then, they've told me all the horror stories of the ex-athletes and all of us guys still kind of, doing our last minute tweaking when we're doing things with our grandkids and stuff like that, and how those injuries from back then are now creeping up, and how unfortunately some of our friends are still taking a lot of those opioids. So I refuse to take the C1 level, which was the OxyContin, because I had that information, and then by mistake when I went to the pharmacy, the prescription came back again, and they said, "Oh, well, this is a C1 level, 3 times a day for 7 days in a row." I'm like, I said no, and actually got something that was like a C6, which was like a tramadol or those types of things, which would take the edge off, and I still didn't even want that.
Smart.
But I have had some pain in the past that, I'm not by far having a Superman complex. I'm a wuss now, but it was one of those decisions that you have to make, and you were just talking about it being a mental thing. And I want to say most sports. I ran track predominantly when I was at Arizona State. I was a hurdler, and the mental aspect at a D1 level to do any kind of sports requires you leaving your body and concentrating on technique, and I've been able to do that and just kind of take my mind off of the pain, now that I'm getting ready for therapy, I had the surgery 3.5 weeks ago, and it's another 5 weeks of the process. I won't I'm feeling better and better every day.
That's awesome. I mean, it's so important what you're saying. It's not that the pain isn't real, or it's not that it's not there. No. It's just we know that pain has a lot to do with focus and attention. And Bob was even talking about this with his grandmother. The more attention you pay, the more focused you are on pain, the more you're going to feel it. I love giving the example. Most people remember this with their kids when their kids are getting vaccinations. In the pediatrician's office, and the kids usually scream, and when the nurse walks in with the needle and the kids are going ballistic screaming. And sometimes then you'll see a really savvy nurse that'll kind of sneak up on them. The kid won't see the needle, won't know what's coming, won't be anticipating, won't be expecting it, and they'll just give them a little shot in the arm while the kid's playing with the Legos in the corner room. And often they don't even notice it.
I think it's a great analogy. It really is.
Right. And the point is, so much of pain is about our expectation of it and our anticipation. And we tense up, and we know that those emotions, those negative emotions, can actually greatly heighten the perception of pain. Pain's a very subjective experience.
And, I think James's approach, being informed, is half the battle. I mean, you really need to understand what these drugs are and what they can do for you. And meanwhile, the physician still prescribes it to you.
It's not good.
And you know what? It's a safety net if you want it, but if you're smart and you've done your homework, then don't do it.
And it's potentially even. So I'll tell you some data recently is that we know that even a 5-day course, even if you take the opioids for as short as 5 days, that is associated with addiction at a year later. Some people are their brains are very, very, very susceptible to those medications. Hey, you didn't like the way it felt, but some people's brains are different, and actually they do like it. It helps them relax, and they can quickly become addicted to it. So the best thing for sure is to take absolutely little. I don't want to say none, because I don't want to be judgmental against people that feel like they have to, but it's a very, very, very dangerous thing. And in fact, when I do prescribe an opioid to a patient, I have them sign a consent form saying that I explain to them the risks and benefits, and they understand this is a potentially very, very risky thing.
You gave some statistics. 38% of Americans took an opioid. Does that mean that there are people driving vehicles today and they're on opioids?
So it's fascinating. So I told you that the data that we have 38,000 opioid overdoses. I don't think we know how many opioid-related car crashes we have. I guarantee you it's in the thousands, the many thousands. And so it's really dangerous stuff.
And is that what happened to Tiger Woods? I mean, when he said it was some medication, a combination of some pills and things. And,
he just had back surgery, so I would imagine he probably was...
I mean, my prescription was 3 a day for like 7 days. Does it come with a bib? I mean, it's like, there's no way you can function.
Yeah, and look, you're a big guy, but that could probably sedate an elephant.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, but part of this is like you were informed. You knew after surgery, okay, it's going to have some discomfort. I expect it. I know it's coming. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to start doing the physical therapy. You're doing that. As soon as you start that. Those are the things that get your mind off of it, and that's how you get better very, very quickly. But what we've done is we've told people stay ahead of the pain. I know that a lot of people get that.
That's the word.
That is the wrong.
That's
thing.
The word I've always learned.
What I'm going to tell the folks is expect you have something done. You're going to have some pain. It's part of life. You're going to get through it. You're going to get better. Don't be so, you're not going to try to stay ahead of it. That actually doesn't work. And what I want to tell you about the pain pills is what we know now is that when people take those pain pills for a long period of time, even weeks or months or sometimes years, people take those pills for years, they no longer help you. And in fact, your brain produces natural painkillers called endorphins. Those are things that make us feel better.
Nice.
And when you take these pills, your brain sees that and it says, well, I don't have to make these natural things because I see it already. And so your natural painkillers go down.
Exactly.
And after a while, you have to keep taking those pills just to feel okay. and you have to take more and more of them. And then, of course, they have side effects. I love this. You're a football player. At the Super Bowl, do you remember they had the pill? They were advertising to the public the pill to treat opioid-induced constipation. So now they wanted.
I don't remember that.
They wanted to give
that
you
is a side effect.
They wanted to give you another pill
to
treat that side effect. So the best and safest thing by far is to stay away from them. And we talk about all of this on thepainproject.com.
You know, we have unfortunately become a pain or pill popping society.
Yes,
and everyone wants to take a medication, and
they want immediate relief.
Right, and there are other means to getting relief. And when we come back for our last segment, I want you to talk a little bit about some of those things that you guys are doing.
Yes,
I also want to talk about the fact that there's that misnomer, and maybe we get it in before we break here, that seniors are in excruciating pain. And what you've shared with me is that's not true, because the peak of your pain for a human being is between, 40 and 60?
Yes.
Not 70, 80, 90, or 100.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to
Yes.
be. There are ways to combat this. You know what? It's hard to believe we're at the end of our third segment. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I have got Dr. Ben Bobrow in the studio. He's the Chief Medical Officer. And write this down, thepainproject.com. I'm on their website. It's awesome. I've also got a special guest. I got James Shipp here in the studio. We will be right back.
Arizona investment property experts are now your Mexico investment property experts. Join investment property experts this Wednesday for an informative Investing in Mexico real estate workshop. Learn about investing in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico, and how you can earn a net 15% annual return. IPX's crown jewel in Mexico is the Esmeralda Resort, located on Sandy Beach in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico. Puerto Peñasco is the popular beach getaway known as Rocky Point. Only 3.5 hours away from Phoenix, Arizona, this is the perfect investment and vacation opportunity for you. As an investor, you will not only earn 15%, but you will have access to numerous investment projects. Currently, we are offering Esmeralda investors discounted lots, houses, and condos that can be purchased and flipped. And best of all, everything is 100% turnkey. With the home port commencing construction this year and its planned completion in 2019, this project will be a big boost to the economy and investment real estate in Rocky Point.
Learn more by attending this informative workshop. Call 602-254-6244 or visit azinvestmentpropertyexperts.com.
Hi, I'm Johnny Dean.
And I'm Rick, the Professor Plum.
Every day on Bucket Strategy Investing, we're talking about financial planning, investment decisions, and retirement strategies.
We focus on wealth education and the strategy designed for the needs you have today.
And the goals you have for the future. Tune in to Bucket Strategy Investing.
And call in with questions.
Retirement strategies, taxes, Social Security, and more. That's what we're talking about on Bucket Strategy Investing.
Napa know-how.
The Napa Legend battery does legendary things, like starting your car when the heat index hits $1.25, or making sure your AC stays running like a gazelle. And now, when you buy a Napa Legend battery, you'll get a prepaid Visa card by mail worth $15. $15 back and a new battery? That's not just legendary. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 8/31/17.
There's fresh, and then there's In-N-Out Burger Fresh. Come see your made-to-order burgers being freshly prepared before your eyes and taste the In-N-Out difference.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. Little Jerry Rafferty taking us into our fourth segment. Thank you, James, our engineer. It's hard to believe we're down to our last segment. You're listening to Health Futures. I want to get right into this. We're talking about a very relevant subject matter. We're talking about pain. We're talking about opioid abuse. I'm really pleased to have Dr. Ben Bobrow. He's the Chief Medical Officer from thepainproject.com. We're on our fourth segment. If you missed the first three, go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com and click on the media button, hit the drop down. You can catch the first three segments and a bunch of others. So, you know, one of the things that I want to just tip my hat off to you, Ben, is that you are on the front line as an ER physician, and being on the front line as an ER physician, you see a lot of things. And I'm sure you got to the point where you were sick and tired of seeing people come in overdose, people dying of abuse of these pain meds. You know, I talked to you about another friend of mine, Alan Roga. I had him here on the show when he had Stat Docs, now it's Teledoc. He did the same thing, an ER doctor over at Scottsdale Healthcare, now Honor Health. Figured, you know what, I'm sick and tired of our ER being a waiting room. You know, there is a better way. And then I also have another friend that I've had on the show, Kevin Hazelhorst. Dr. Hazelhorst is over at Arrowhead Hospital, and he has really worked on the project of death and dying and talking about, hey, you know, it is okay to, you know, to give up, and it is okay to not be lingering, and, you know, really Wishes to Die For was his book that he wrote, and really memorializing your wishes and having advanced directives of what we talked about. So I want to close this segment strong and really talk about thepainproject.com, what you're doing. I want to talk about, you know, what is it you're able to do for the patients and people that you see.
Right. The first thing we really wanted to do was to give people good information, reliable information on pain, because it's not easy to come by. And that all the stuff on all the content on thepainproject.com is content from what's called the National Pain Strategy and the Institute of Medicine report, these large national reports that really underscore the need for people to understand how they can self-manage their pain. All the studies show that opioids are not the answer. And we've, again, as we talked about before, we've inadvertently, unintentionally done that to people, and it's really been a tragedy, and we're trying to unwind it now. And really my goal with this is, as we start to prescribe less and less pain pills to people for chronic pain, which I thank God we're doing, what else, helping people understand what else they can do. And all of this information is on the painproject.com website. We try to make it a very kind of easy to read, a non-jargony way. We have lots of authors. One of our advisory board members is a Dr. Barry Curzon. Dr. Curzon is the Dalai Lama's personal physician.
No way.
I'm not joking you. And
that's existentialism.
Yes. Well, Dr. Curzon writes multiple articles. I would love for people to go and read his articles about pain, chronic pain, and about this technique of mindfulness-based stress reduction.
And I like that, because we talked about that.
It works.
Right.
It's
actually mind over matter, right?
Well, I don't want to say it's mind over matter. The pain, because that sort of makes people feel like the pain's not real. The pain is real, but what we know, it's funny. We're sort of relearning these things in modern medicine that they've known for thousands of years. Is that the relaxed mind is at peace and feels far less pain than the people that are kind of tense and anxious. And we all, I think, to some extent, we kind of have become a country of anxious people. We're always on the run, moving, texting. You know, it's nonstop. It's 24/7. And I personally don't think our brains evolved over the last millions of years to work like this. We need downtime, or else we feel this tension, and that tension often is manifested by real physical pain. And
much better approach.
Yes,
much better approach.
Much safer. And in fact, there's a huge amount of mounting scientific evidence that this really works, and we're understanding more and more about how it works. And so we're trying to propel people away from those old ideas about pills and surgery that frankly there's very, very little data supporting that, to these things that actually there are good data about self-management and how you can do this. And so again, that's the impetus of the painproject.com. But what we also did, we went a step further, and we actually engaged with some wonderful, wonderful licensed therapists and psychologists that understand these things. You can find people that can help you with this, but it's not easy to do. And so what we're doing is we're using a HIPAA-compliant telemedicine platform that's customized for the Pain Project, and we've made it so that people that have chronic pain can actually, from their home, from the convenience of their home,
I'm looking at it right now.
They can engage, and they can actually do a video teletherapy session, and we've seen so many people get better.
If I push this button to request a session,
yes,
how long will it take before somebody gets on?
Well, you schedule an appointment.
I schedule an appointment.
Yes,
okay.
you could schedule an appointment for probably either later today or tomorrow.
It's thepainproject.com.
Yes, and in fact, there are multiple different therapists with sort of different. Everyone's got a sort of a little bit of a different flavor, but they all use cognitive therapies. There's no medications prescribed.
I love it.
And it's what I can tell you is it's not smoke and mirrors. It's real, and they're helping many, many people, and it's by far the safest way to do it.
And you got Dr. Carl Hammerschlag on there.
Yes, who you might know. Carl.
Oh, I know Carl.
Well, Carl's written many books.
He's my dad's age.
Yes.
He's our dad's age.
Yes, he's a very, very famous. Carl is a Yale-trained psychiatrist who he's frankly my mentor that's taught me much of what I know about
he's an
pain
amazing
and healing.
individual. You know, I did yoga with him a couple
Yes.
of years ago. I mean, like 77, 78. He was
Yes.
there posing, and his daughter was teaching. An incredible guy that I met through another friend of mine who just recently passed, Valham Medeiros.
I'm sorry.
Who's kind of a lion, if you would, for the home care and hospice world, and really advocated for those that are sick, infirmed, that are aging and dealing with challenges, to make it safe for them to age in place. And really, he used to refer to it as the last civil rights fight was for older adults.
Yeah, as you know, my mother did Tai Chi up until her stroke. She's 91 now.
Wow.
And that was one of the main things every morning at 6 a.m.
So we're getting ready to wrap up.
Ben, I have to say, you mentioned Carl. I have to say, Carl was the guy who really, for years and years, taught us that healing comes from within. You don't heal from without. It's not from the outside. It really comes from within. And now we know more and more about how these things change the brain for the better. And people can, it's really more about promoting healing and wellness from within.
Well, you know what? If you had to leave some final thoughts, things for people to leave with, what would you say?
You don't assume you're going to have terrible pain. You can heal. You can get better. Don't be afraid, and don't be afraid of movement. Movement is healthy.
It lubricates the joints.
Yes. The less you do, the more you're going to focus on the pain. Don't be afraid. And please, I urge people to read about this on the website, thepainproject.com.
Painproject.com. Ben, I'm going to have you back.
Good.
Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. James, thank you for joining us.
Great being here.
So long.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
Bill Gunderson's Nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 a.m., professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
KFNN Mesa Phoenix. Taking a look at the market, the Dow finished up 50 points today at 22,077. The S&P 500 was up 3 at 2475. The Nasdaq up 9 at 6349. Gold down $10 at $12.64 an ounce, and oil was up 41 cents at $49 a barrel. Stick around for the Millennial Money Club.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news.